Okay, so I guess let's slowly start talking. As I understand, usually you have slight problems doing everything that Evals had planned for one lecture in one lecture, so the faster we start, the longer we can go. Basically, yeah, I am Paul. I don't usually work with the AI, that's why I will be talking about Selenium, which is a way to automate different kinds of browsers. It is commonly used for testing, but it can be used slightly more maliciously if you want, and so on. One big example is scraping data, accessing all kinds of services without using API keys and so on. For example, if you would want to download all of your Facebook friend list or something like that, without going the long route using all the Facebook APIs that are usually pain in the ass, if I might say so. Then one way would be to use Selenium, where you just log in and the browser automatically navigates to all the pages and gets the data that it's interested in. I have opened in the classroom first one assignment, not assignment, basically information. There's the link to Jamboard, and there is link to Chrome driver that we will need to be using, as well as you will need to install one Python package. Quick note about this Chrome driver. The link here is to the newest one, but I would recommend going to this URL. And of course, as I type it, I mess it up. The easier way to see it is help about Google Chrome and see what version of Google Chrome are you on. For example, I am on 103, which means that if you use the link in Classroom, the newest driver won't work. You need to take the newest one with 103 in front of it. Basically, go back and here. And let me know when you have done. Basically downloaded this. You will need to unzip it and put it in your project directory, like I have here for Windows from driver.exe. Let's close this. And yeah. Basically, while you are downloading, I can tell what will be more or less the plan for this lecture. It will be, we will play around with Selenium a bit, and then we will try to get data from captchas using it. So, and as I understand it, you have previously worked with training, basically reading captcha text to clear text. Later, you will be joining this with the previous one to automatically solve captchas on the web. That will be the goal. Is everything going like it should? Or you have some problems? Okay.
You have to download this, right?
Yes. Which one did you download?
I do.
Yes.
Do we just need to add the X?
Yes, you need the .exe file in your directory. You don't need to try to run it. It's not installable. It's just
Just like that, just add it to the.
yes, yes.
No, what?
Basically, it's nothing that can be installed. It's something that, and you need to install Selenium using package manager, and that Selenium will talk using the driver with your Chrome and be able to automate it. Yes. Yes, we should check what version are you on.
Just one line. There's only one option. We'll terminate in the That's this.
Again, basically, for those who join a bit later, this URL is to the newest version, but looks like on these computers there is older version of Chrome that you can check using these three dots. So help and about Google Chrome, and if it's 103 something something, you should not download the newest one. You should press the parent directory and go down to 103 and pick the latest of those. Otherwise, it won't be compatible. I guess I could actually update this so that it's.
To add the Excel,
Is it the one that starts with 103 and ends with 5 and 3?
Yes. I added the link in this so that.
you know, this.
Basically, if you downloaded the wrong one, no big worry. Later, it will scream that it's incompatible version, and then you will be able to download the right one.
You know, it was the correct one for version 103. You know, if it was the correct one for version 103.
Basically, the first part of the downloaded file is 103.
Yeah.
Which one did you download?
The newest one. Yeah.
Then it won't work. The newest one is for 104.
Okay. Where are the older versions?
Parent directory. And scroll down. More down. And above the latest. Up. No. Slightly more up. And here, with top 103. Yes. And you need to download this Chrome driver. You don't need to run it because it's basically a driver that will allow our Python scripts to work with it. And you need to install the Selenium package. Yes. Okay. In your, basically you can put it anywhere. I would recommend putting it in your workspace so that you can easier know where the path to it is. Well, yeah. I assume that at this point everyone should be there. Let's try just starting it up and seeing how far we can get. This time we don't have any templates, so we will be creating new Python file for this lecture. 9.1. Yeah, let's go with that. And let's try just running it.
This increase the size of the
Oh, yeah.
file.
Yeah, I am not used to presenting this. 1 second. Appearance. Let's see if this is the correct one. Why? Of course, this was the wrong one. It's always the wrong one. Now you can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what. Oh. Basically, if you've gotten this far and if you run it, it should open a new window and open google.com in it. And now I guess we need to wait until everyone gets this far and sees that Chrome driver is the correct version, that Selenium is actually installed and so on.
Probably not the right version.
No, your issue is C, because you have a small Chrome.
So it's
Yes. Basically, note that Chrome
that
here
creates
is
an object, right?
Hmm?
The uppercase C creates an object, right?
Yes.
Hey.
In console show. Basically, couldn't find. You have 2 dots in Chrome driver, but your main is. Basically, those who typed fast, I had a typo. I had 2 dots here. It auto-completed, which meant that it couldn't find Chrome driver. Given that I have in the same directory, then you need to put 1 dot there.
Okay, now if the error message you also had after that,
Mm-hmm.
and now if the error message you had.
No. Oh, you don't have exe. For those who are not on Windows, the exe is.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Okay.
You type you have the new ones, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I need the other.
Look if there is at all. I'm not sure that everyone wants, but oh, yeah, then you need the other option. Basically, you're running everything that could be. Type on and all of these switched places.
Okay.
Yes, Sarah? Do you have it in here, the WebDriver? You don't have the WebDriver in this directory. So you need to copy it to there or add, or in this place, whatever is your location of it.
So what went wrong now?
1 second. Yes? Let's see if that happens. I will make a quick call with Harold about this one. It's the only one I can think. So, the problem, so when you ask you the key one, and I allow the access to the funding account.
We use the same.
Okay.
No, it's not
You will
exactly.
get someone who will save us. So, did you manage? Right? Yes. Basically, if you are putting it in this folder, then you need to write like this. Oh, it finally ran. Nice. Is it? And for you, what is it saying? Above, did it throw some kind of, oh, you need the older version. You downloaded the 400 something. You need it. Yeah, that one. Yes. I would guess that you downloaded 104, not 103. Because your current browser version is not the newest one.
So it's this one absolutely don't know.
Yes. Did someone start asking?
Yeah, what's the just look up zero, but maybe I need to put here this.
No worries, that is not. If you get a notification warning when running, that's not something that will affect us. That just means that in the later versions of the WebDriver, it might not like the way how we passed it, basically executable path. So that's nothing. Interesting that only those two computers have the firewall issue, because everyone else got it running.
It's online, but then
Basically, they have the firewall pop-up.
some bad scheduling.
Okay, try running. One of you
What's
two.
English?
Mine was really
Oh, it did
Because
go.
you only match.
Okay.
Because it's suggestion, it's not scoping the program.
Then false alarm.
I think.
Good. For that. Yeah, that. No, I didn't have this on the.
And if you run on
I had something similar, but not that.
Okay, great. Then everyone is working.
Yeah, it's the tech department, because the actual company, it's way larger than just like 50,000.
Okay, if we are this far, then let's try moving on. Basically, we see this is what is opening, and the big issue is that trying to Google something.
Can we just what's happening here?
Show your project. Yes, we can. You are running.
Yeah, the social
It's printing
Pass from where?
I just named it like this.
Yes, but why is it not in the project?
It's the element.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
you-
here. It's not here.
Yeah. But yeah, in general, the next issue is that we have this annoying cookie pop-up that we would like to get rid of it. To do so, we need to find this button and click it. For us, it's easily in code. It's also kind of easy, but a bit not as easy. Basically, the Chrome driver can open the window. You could also, for example, say to maximize it or whatever actions to make it. And you can find specific elements in the site. And oh, I already got completion, but that's one way to do it. Let's do it like this. Yeah. Basically, what's happening here, I guess I can let you know that when writing code, I cannot speak simultaneously, so I will usually just write small part and then try to explain what's happening there. That will make less bugs. Basically, we are asking the driver to find a specific element inside to transfer to router produce cancel and firewall messaging. Basically, we can ask it to find element in all kinds of ways. If we look in what are the options, it's XPath that we are using. I will explain how it works. But you can also search by name. For example, div or button or a or something like that. By ID, in general, use CSS selectors. we will one by one in different places use many of these. Class name, tag name, and so on.
What's the purpose of it?
Basically, in this part, we say that we will want to search. We are trying to find a specific element using XPath.
Is the element we're looking for the specified one in the string behind?
Yes. Basically, this means that anywhere we are looking at all buttons inside that have the div sub element, because okay, I guess we should have done it like this.
Is it looking for div HTML elements or?
Yes, here. If we press inspect, and again, then we can see, hopefully, I will try. I don't know if I can make this one bigger though.
To make the line up.
Yes, we can make it bigger. Basically, if we look here, the accept all button is button that has a div sub element that has a text accept all. And we want to find somehow this button, but Google is annoying with the fact that it basically every few versions or something like that, it randomizes the ID names, class names, and so on. So if we want to build something that works for a longer period of time, we need to find a way how to basically see the element without looking at class or ID or something like that.
Okay, so you need to find it via its characteristic properties, attributes, whatever
Yes,
you would call them.
exactly. And given that this is something that user also sees, that then the most visible thing that we can see is the accept all text, because that's something that user also interacts with.
But do you know why they randomly change them over time? Because you
That is kind of security one of ways. So basically everything in the JS is obfuscated so that it's hard to read, hard to understand, and so on. But yeah, we are looking at all the buttons, basically this thing, and we are asking that it has a sub element of div, which is this one, and that div's text should contain accept all text, which is here. And then we go one step above, just like we are doing in file structure, or for example, navigating the file tree. And that way we are selecting the button. I don't know if you understood. I hope that you have a rough idea. We will later be using this again, so then we will see how much you understood. But yeah, and now we can do.
Have you changed the language of your browser? Because mine is in Latvian and yours is in English?
That depends on the computer, but you should be able to get the same text and put it in here just in Latvian instead of this accept all, and it will work for Latvian. And then let's just click that button. And as you just saw, the pop-up was dismissed.
What was the desired effect?
The pop-up disappears. You see this?
No? Okay, then it's something wrong. You mean the
Yes, this pop-up. Show your phone. Yes. Basically, everyone who has different language in browser than English, you need to look at what is written in that button And instead of this accept all, you should put in your language.
So everyone has to do it in Latin. Almost everyone has to do it in
Yes.
Latin. They have to learn some Latin.
Example
Except in Latin.
You can do it also just by copying out the text.
No,
Yes.
learn it. Just copy here, please.
Copy that. First of all, you have not imported by.
Shall I say it? Maybe it's explain.
Yeah, I guess that's something I should have mentioned. I automatically, for example, here this by thingy needs to be also imported from the Selenium, as you can see
Just you have to type.
in this line. To do it quickly, just for future reference, you can press Ctrl and then, no, not Ctrl, Alt and Enter, and press Import Selenium from Selenium. That's a kind of quicker way to do it. Either color and here is a warning.
No, that should be yeah.
Or you can press Alt and Enter simultaneously to bring up that pop-up.
It is equal.
Yeah.
I changed
Okay. Yes.
What did you use right
So, what is this?
Huh? We need that to just remove the pop-up so that we can access nicely the search field. Next step will be
No more pop-ups.
yes. Those who are this far done, next challenge, you can try to get the search bar, try to find the element, similar, but using this find element, just make basically you find a way how to get that element. You can try using different types of the by. Basically, first step is to see how it looks in the Chrome. This is the wrong window. Google. You can inspect it, see what properties it has, and try to find something that you can use with the by that's not for this time XPath. But if you want, you can try also XPath.
It's not working for me, but whatever. Like
Okay. No, but this one also should work. WebDriver object is not. It's not find dot element. It's find underscore element. Actually, I just understood. I am forgetting one thing that I should do, which is I should start putting things in the Jamboard so that it's easier for everyone to follow along. Basically, let's make a new page.
It's not working, okay.
Yeah, I know it's working.
Basically, yeah, if anyone gets stuck somewhere and wants to see the code closer or something like that, I will start putting it in Jamboard. Did anyone manage to get the search bar?
Not yet.
How are you trying to do that?
Googling is Stack Overflow.
Okay, if you're copying code from Stack Overflow, then I guess you can start copying from me. Let's.
I mean, we tried first from the inspect, but
Let's see in the search here. So what attributes are here that we could use? So this has XPath, name, ID, link text. I don't think we will be using class name and so on. Let's see. Class names for this are the funny ones that are hard to use and that could change in the future, so they are not really usable. Then we see it has title, it has name. Here's the property name. So that means you can here write by name and put in whatever the name is.
The name equal to the title?
Name equals here.
Okay.
I don't know how much you know about HTML, but HTML, each tag, and in general XML can have all kinds of attributes, and really common one for input fields, aka all input fields in HTML, will have some kind of name that is associated with the data that's inputted and that is sent to server. Also, if you write something in Google, then you can see here in the top there is Q equals whatever I searched. So that means this Q won't change usually over the updates and so on, because that's something that both the UI is using and the server is using to understand the request. So we can find element.
But
Yes.
when you're inspecting, you're like clicking from search bar on something that it looks like in inspection you could see, but when we are clicking, that's like
No, you click on it and inspect.
no, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Okay. Then I understood one problem that I didn't, I guess, explain enough. To find specific element information, frequently the first click on inspect finds something other than what you're looking for. And if you see that it's not, you know that this is some kind of input element. And if you here you see the body tag, for example, or on hovering, it's highlighting entire page, you can click again, click inspect, and get to that element. There is also this way. Here is the button, select an element in the page to inspect it. That allows you to, like this, search for elements.
No, I never did any kind of front end, so you know it's not new. It's got them like, last time I called it kind of like pages and like pages. Last time
And what previously we found a button, clicked it. For search input field, what is the thing that we want to do? We can input text, basically. We can write search input dot and there's another helpful option to send keys. And we can send some kind of text. For example, Latvia. You can input whatever you want. It's preferable that it is something that can be actually found, but yeah. And let's see what happens if you run it.
So are we essentially learning how to run Google from our ID today? Or?
Currently, yes, but it's actually a thing that can be very helpful because, for example, imagine that you want to collect information about some kind of topic automatically. For example, user inputs something and you want to be able to quickly generate some kind of knowledge graph or something like that, then it's frequently not feasible. No, it's the easiest way can be just Googling it automatically. And that's kind of what we are doing here. One second.
No, I want to automate it. No. Automate change the way
And when we have inputted some search, we can just submit it. Basically, it will press enter and search it. Have you gotten this far?
Yes.
Those who have gotten this far, next task to think about, now you know a bit more ways how to find specific elements. Your goal will be to find, open this Wikipedia page. And not by using, there is one way that would be to just find the element, copy its link and just again write com grab or get. But let's use the same way how we currently, basically all of these in Google could be kind of skipped, especially this search input. by just requesting from driver get google.com !q equals whatever we are looking for. But there are multiple ways. This one would pop up anyway. So being able to find elements in page and click on them, interact with them is the hard part. So yeah, did anyone have problems with the inputting the search information?
No.
Okay.
It's not possible to search by URL.
Hmm?
Now it would be possible to search by URL. Just.
But imagine if there's not this search query is not Latvia, but something random, something that user inputs. You can also not write Latvia, you can write something else, so that might not have Wikipedia as the first page, but as a second or third one. And all of those should be, basically, it is, if you hard code any URLs, then you lose a lot of flexibility. So, okay, let's see what exactly is this element. Can anyone say what kind of tag this is? Yes, here is the A tag, and here is the H3 tag that you can also try to find, because previously we looked, if we would write like it was previously, we could just copy paste this part, write here A, as you mentioned, then there's H3, and we can enter Wikipedia and call it wiki link. And this should find it because it is basically the same thing, just switch the tags. That's one thing that's very important to realize, is that frequently the code is the same, especially in these kinds of places where you are trying to automate something on web. The general structure is similar. You just need to find what elements go in which place. Let's check if this works, because I'm just talking, but I don't know if it works. Yes.
Yeah, you have to give it another name.
I will just, for those who usually get faster, we can look at another way how to search this. For this, we are assuming that Wikipedia is nice, and in all of their pages, they have what you are looking for dash Wikipedia. And just, we can look at this wiki text. If Wikipedia was not including this in title, or you wanted to, I don't know which of these would be more universal enough for different queries, but basically if we wanted to find some specific website, then we could write just, let's clear off this part of it, and write for the anchor tag contains, and instead of text, we can write at and place in any attribute that this tag has. I previously mentioned that all of HTML tags have usually at least some attributes, like this class, some data, some ping data, and so on. And anchor tags have this href tag. And we can see if the href tag contains Wikipedia. Basically, this, why did I delete it? I will put both of them side by side. Basically, these two do the same thing. But one of them searches for text in here, and maybe in some other languages it would be not Wikipedia, but some other name. Somehow in that language it's changing or something like that. And then this first method, where we look at text, would break. But the second one, which uses the hyperlink in the anchor, should stay the same no matter, because it's the same page. Yes? This is what just I mentioned, that Wikipedia, you are looking for this text. Basically, I showed two versions. This first one is language specific. In your title, the Wikipedia on E has the small thingy. The second one looks at the link, which means it's not language specific. It can handle being Googled in different languages and still understand what you are looking for. I will quickly add to Jamboard these and then go around, see how you are all doing.
So did we check that the second way is work?
Are there problems? Interesting. Okay, the second way did not work. Good question.
Yeah, why?
I don't know. Not a. Oh, it doesn't work because there are these two dots, which basically, if we look here, those two dots at the end of it that I mentioned, that it goes to the parent level. If we look at this link, by having those two dots at the end of it, we are clicking on this element, not this, which means we are not clicking actually on the link. That's the risks of copying code.
So we should just delete that part, right?
It's still not working. Yeah.
It is working for me, so I will in a moment go to you and see what's happening.
Maybe you delete the first. Maybe you shouldn't name the two variables the same name.
It doesn't matter, it just overrides.
Okay.
That's what this highlight is saying me, that it's defined previously but not used anywhere, so it's just being overridden.
Doesn't work for you. I probably have the second.
So for whom does this not work?
You want to change it to lowercase lowercase.
Oh,
So it's case sensitive.
yes, that's one thing. These are case sensitive. there definitely is some XPath functions that make them not case sensitive. I can't remember them on top of my head. I actually could paste in Jamboard a bit more reference about about the XPath and what it can do and what it cannot do. Basically, I added another link in the Jamboard that allows you to just explore XPath, what it can do, what it cannot do, how it does things, and so on. So, did everyone get to the wiki page? You have the wrong driver version. Wait, no.
You know where I work? You know where I work? Right on the other side. I cannot we don't want to express. Can I change? Okay. So now it's from third, and can you
Okay. And for this example, let's do one more thing. Let's last thing basically to do about this is let's make frequently pages do some other stuff after they have loaded. For example, JS inserts some elements, it loads some images later or something like that. Then for that we have helpful function, which is web driver wait that we can import, as I mentioned, hovering and pressing import, and then write Chrome driver. That is the driver that we want to wait, the timeout, how long it can wait, and then add some conditions that it will try to match. I don't know why he thought this is a good idea. Basically, what I just added is next part. Once the page loads, we are waiting for the driver. Basically, the driver will pause and wait until it can find a specific element. Wikipedia is not that sophisticated, so this just goes on, but there are many sites that use some kind of, for example, React or something like that for front end, which is JavaScript driven. And on the first load, the page HTML might be empty. It might have some very limited information in it, and all of the other information is later added by JavaScript. This functionality will allow us to basically wait until the page has finished loading and we can access the information that we require. You could also just write time.sleep, which allows to sleep basically the Python thread for some time. The issue with this is it might sleep not enough, or it might sleep way too much. For example, let's imagine we, for safety, put time sleep 5 seconds, but the page actually loads in 1 second. For one page load, that's nothing. That's 4 seconds of wasted time. But if we are trying to, for example, download the entirety of data that is in Wikipedia, we don't want for each page to wait extra 4 seconds. So this method and with the WebDriver wait allows us to wait just enough time that everything is loaded and not waste any time / not try to query some data too fast. And one thing I forgot at the beginning, and you might have noticed that I'm all the time closing Chrome windows because they don't close, is that after we are done, we should call Chrome driver.close, which will close the windows. The only issue with that is if we run it now, we will see that it opens, it quickly does everything, and it immediately quits, which might be hard for debugging and hard for developing step by step, because if it closes immediately, then we cannot just see what are the elements that are loaded and which of them we should take next. So we can add simply one input that will ask and something like this. That way, if we run it, we see that everything happens, and then in the console we see, are you done? Now we can explore this site, find what we want in it, and when we are done, press enter to continue. But let's maybe get actually some data out of the site into the Python, because currently we are just I don't think Jamboard is meant to be used like this. But yeah, let's look in the Wikipedia. What is some information that we might be searching for, that we need for some kind of, for example, data scraping, so that we can train some specific model? We could look for example, population. Now the goal would be to, let's see how it's made, if that won't be way too much pain, but it should be that, okay, this is all a table. Your goal now would be to get this number. Actually, I don't know if that won't be. It might be that getting this number is actually a task for entire class. given that, yeah, it's very deep down, but okay, let's get some other. For example, we want to just get Wikipedia texts. For example, we are training some kind of language model, and we would like to get all of this text to train on it. I think whatchamacallit was trained on it also. I don't remember on top of my head the names. But yeah, let's make it a bit quicker so we can move on, because we are already 1 hour in and this is just one part of what I wanted to show you. Let's get this first paragraph. Why is Wikipedia source so messy? God damn it. Okay, let's see what we can do to get this text out. We need to some kind of search that will be, for example, let's call it description. This might be what can we see? What are the some? One way we could do it is that we try to get this, all of this. God damn it. I don't know if this will work, but for some reason I had the mood to try some experiments. And basically what this does, it finds one specific element that this time is just the wrapper of everything that is in the Wikipedia page, basically all the content text, and we get text that is in it and just currently printing out to the console. Okay, now that we have seen what Selenium can do, let's try to do something a bit different. Let's try actually getting some capture data and trying to see what we can do with it. We will try to use this site, which has some very basic captures. I think the same that you have already worked with, where there are some letters, some numbers, and so on. I will add the link in Jamboard, so you can open it and see what's in there. I will also make a copy of our file so that we have a fresh one, but you can probably continue in this one. This part that we will be doing now will be one that I think you will need to submit in Google Classroom. Basically, I will be starting from the minimal file for opening and closing Chrome. But you can continue modifying the current file if you would like that better. Quickly about the site that we will look at, it is called Really Simple Captcha. And in the bottom of the site there are 3 captchas, as you can see. Our goal basically to press send here and to for it to accept it, we need to enter all 3 of them correctly. 6 AM Q. If we press send with all 3 entered correctly, yay, I'm not a robot, so I was able to send a message. Let's imagine this is for example, we want to build some kind of system that gets data from some articles or something like that, and those articles are hidden behind some basic captcha to not allow primitive web scraping. So we need to find a way to get all 3 of them. First, let's make them so that a user can enter what's here in the PyCharm console, but later, I think in the next or after that lecture, you will be tying this together with your previous work on character recognition and making fully automatic solution. The first task is to just open this site in Chrome using the Chrome driver. And next, let's try to see what we get when we run it. Oh, I ran the previous file. That's all right. Basically, once the page loads, we again are greeted with big blue buttons of consent and do not consent. the first task, and I would like you to do this first on your own. Try to use similar methods how we did with Google to consent to this pop-up, or do not consent as you wish. And yeah.
Can I see that code now?
Hmm?
Can I see that part?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Finish.
Basically, this what I have in PyCharm is the bare minimum from the previous code file. Only change is that now we have different initial URL. And let me know when you are, or when you finish this part. So how are you doing? Then maybe let's say what I need to write to get it. Wait, I will actually disable this. That will help us a bit. Okay, what? My x and the second I will import my. Yes.
Yeah, quotes, slash,
Yes.
slash,
Yes.
yeah,
What?
no, like, the letter, yeah, B, then contains text, then, yeah, that do not consent to quotes,
And
then round brackets, square bracket, slash, dot.
okay. And I assume consent button dot what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Round bracket.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. That nicely closed. Um, then let's move on. We get the button. Now let's try to find these. Let's start by one of them. will add all of this also to Jamboard again. So now find image and input fields. Remember, for input fields, we have extra attribute that we can usually use to quickly find it. For image, you can try using XPath or CSS selectors or whatever you know.
Okay, show your code.
You can also import
I mean, they just open this. Yeah, and I found the single stream of one but not but we don't run against the button by a user, so it's not by consent, not
That's
not
how it
consent.
should coding, hard code everything you can. If I could, I would, just go for pixels, hard code pixels, split the filters with the oh yeah. No, that's so, but when I run it, I like, it's
No, you don't need that. Yes.
For some reason, you
I think it's just falls in the right? Oh, it is crashing because this one is empty. You need to remove that line out. Yes. You find the catch.
Did everyone get rid of that pop-up?
The consent pop-up?
Yes.
Yeah, YellowRobot is not on.
network, and then
What image do you actually need? The restrict selection.
That is what I was showing in the site. Basically, this, for example, this first one. Okay, for I will also start coding because we don't have that much time. Let's inspect it. One selector that we have not previously used is this CSS selector. Those who have used front-end will naturally understand it. Those who have not coded anything in front-end and have not made CSS files, the idea is that CSS selector takes all kinds of attributes. For example, without anything in front, it is tag name, so we can search, for example, image or input. Then we have, using the dot, we have classes, and here we can see that we have image class, this VPC F7 capture 170, and by that we can find the image. We could also, if it had ID, not class, we could write hashtag and after that the ID value. But frequently, if you have clear class names or IDs, not like in Google, you can use this kind of method by using CSS selectors, because it is usually the quickest and easiest to write. It's not some long strings, but it's just one or two quick elements that you can see directly in the inspector. Because writing XPath, it's more complicated. It can do a lot more, but sometimes there's just no need to write more complicated.
I have one question.
Yes?
Can you explain again why you don't choose the entire string? So when I'm looking at the image class field, there's
yes, that's another thing. For each element in HTML, you can have multiple classes, and they are separated by whitespace characters. And I just use the one that's descriptive, because if we compare this and the next image, we will see that it has all the same classes, but it has captcha 778, not 770.
So you decided only because this is the more distinguishable?
It's most distinguishable for as short string as possible, because you can write all of them, and I could write, for example, they do also here write dot next one, but it says the same thing. It's just either I write 50 characters or I write 20 characters. And for this input field that's right under it, let's see what it has. It has name captcha 170. If you read the information that's in this page, you will understand that for these captchas, it's always one captcha image and one input field with the same number at the end of it. Like this has 170 and 170. And the next one will be 178 in this site, and the third one, I don't know what it is, I haven't looked at it. So here we can write by name and write captcha 170. Another thing you will notice is that we can all here see that we have actually gotten it by writing captcha input. for example, test. This way we can just quickly test that we have actually found the correct element.
What's the expected outcome?
There should be test, but it did not write it.
No, it doesn't even consent anymore, or close the pop-up anymore.
Then you have some other
It worked
issue.
before, but now it doesn't.
Maybe put it like in the wrong order or something.
Didn't change the order. Didn't change the order.
As you see in my code, it does.
Where's the accept? Equals figure like accept one, not you know how to close all these instances?
At once? Don't know. You can try something like if it might close all of Google Forms with left click, and are there no option to close all?
There's only close once. Yeah, I can try that. So
that's why it is important to have this Chrome driver dot close at the end of file and try to run it through all the times, because otherwise you can end up.
it's still not working the way it should, actually.
It's not entering the text, right?
It's not entering the text.
It wasn't entering the text for me also.
Okay.
So I don't completely know what's happening, why it doesn't want to enter it, but we will find it out. Basically, we can try input dot. We don't have. We can try clicking in it and then sending some keys. Maybe that will work. That is frequent thing with coding all kinds of web things is we have to do something, test it out, do it again, and so on and so forth, because things frequently don't work like we expect them to work. Like this text doesn't want to input for some reason. But we can write in it, so. For some reason, it's funny, if I write multiple times this, then it sometimes looks like it inputs, but it doesn't input the first one. This might be something, yeah, you see the first inputs are not registered. it might be that we need some kind of delay between loading the page and starting to click everywhere, write things, and so on, because the browser not always responds immediately. We can try just 1 second sleep and see if that fixes the issue. With that's the thing with the web, all kinds of things, is that everything happens sometimes faster, sometimes slower. And you saw just now, I added 1 second sleep, and
Oh, after seconds, leave it to work.
yes.
Mine works properly.
So it depends on the network connection. It depends on the computer that you are running it on. Maybe it is still low. Maybe my computer is still loading some stuff or something like that, and that's why it cannot immediately find the input field and start entering in it.
That's right. Also be go for
That is one option, but this time I think it's just responsiveness issue, because that element is loaded. The WebDriver wait command will wait till some element is findable, but I am able to find it before I am able to write in it, which means that this time the delay is better suited, as it will be, as the other command will immediately continue because it can't find it. It might be that entering that command will still fix the issue, because the WebDriver wait will still wait a fraction of a second. That might be enough, because we saw that if I wrote multiple send keys, the first one did not trigger, but the second one was already a few instructions later, and it was able to do it. So yeah. Okay, we are able to enter some text, but for captchas, entering random text usually is not good enough. So let's try to get this image into the Python code, so we can later work with it automatically. There is a nice, as I've at the start mentioned, Selenium is frequently used for web testing, and the important part of web testing is being able to take some kind of screenshots and document everything that the browser has seen. So we can write capture image dot screenshot and give it some file name. For example, .png. I will command this line out so that it quickly moves on. But if we run it now, we should be able, we should have a image of text here. We'll quickly add this to here. And to get that image somehow back, we need, we can open it again, which png uses as we already know, everything we will do with AI, we need it in some kind of array form. So equals np dot array of did you manage to get the capture PNG in your file system and so on?
Didn't work on Mac.
Why?
I don't know, there are some background dependencies or something, and I tried it on Modin, not to work. There's neither with Philips nor from Mac.
Opening or which part did you work?
Actually, the installation didn't work. It's already installed locally. I can
Oh, you had that issue. I remember, yeah.
Installed. But whenever I try to set the this would
We're also using the wrong image library. Quick note for those who, when importing, I'll look at the imports that I have, and it frequently tries to get some other images, for example, from TK and so on. We are using the pillow library, so yeah. For you, it could be that you can currently write this code, comment it out, because and then try to fix it, because we are almost done, and it is not essential that you have running the image.
Yeah.
You will see what's the goal. You can copy the code, and afterwards you can try to fix it.
Yeah.
Because the image showing will be a nice thing, but it won't be essential for finishing today. Basically, is everyone this far? Silence is agreement, so.
It's strange, I can also not import the still library. I know it worked on in Jupyter Notebook, but somehow it doesn't work in Python. I don't know.
It shows it as installed for you, yeah?
Yeah.
Click the drop
And
down.
now in Python itself I get it so and it said I have to upgrade
That is warning if you did not find the distribution for it. Click OK. Click the drop down to main, edit configurations, and see if this is the one that you would want to use. Basically, which Python environment are you using in your terminal where this is actually installed?
I think it's pip.
Pip is the command, but which of these environments are the one that you are using usually? It might be this one. Click on it. And OK. And try it now.
Yeah, it's not that important. I can just.
It is currently not that important. You can write those lines, comment them, or just not write them. We are almost done with this. But you will need this for next lectures, because there will be again the machine learning part and all of that. I don't know when the lectures are for you. I don't know your graphic, but
Tomorrow is the last day, so.
Then tomorrow, yes. I think you will be using this code. Also, we will be using plotting in show of np dot in np each PNG and plt.show. And then we can ask user, okay, let's just run it this far. It will open it, find the elements, and we can see here that it find and the matplotlib is showing what captcha was entered there. Basically a screenshot of what is visible on the site, and then we can ask text equals input and just write captcha text, no, not text, but input dot send keys, and at the end of it we can, yeah, okay, let's uncomment this one and see what we get. And we see this text in our PyCharm. We can write here exhj and press enter, and it appears here. There are actually services where users can pay, for example, for plugins or all kinds of, I think usually they are Chrome plugins, where the plugin just takes this picture, sends it to web server. On there, the captcha is solved by other humans like this, just seeing image, enter image. That human earns a few cents per 1,000 captchas, I think, but at the end of it, for plugins user, the captchas are automatically solved. So this is mostly what I wanted to show you today, getting this far. Of course, this should be turned into, if we want to actually be able to send it, we need to solve all three of them, which means that you need to either duplicate this code 3 times or write it in a loop to send, but yeah. But I think that's it for today, if everyone has gotten this far. Please submit this in the Jamboard. I will, yes, the task is already opened and some of you have already handed it in.